of the one of the largest churches, one of the most beautiful churches in Lithuania, which houses the largest pipe organ in the country. It has 3 manuals, 3 keyboards basically, and 64 stops. This is what we call stop, register, and this instrument is completely mechanical, which means that I will engage all these stops and other mechanical devices by hand or by feet. So this instrument has about 3,500 pipes inside of this grand facade, and its history is quite complex, but very fascinating. And we'll briefly touch about how this organ came into this church, because originally it wasn't built for the university church, but it was built in another Jesuit church in Belarus. In today's Belarus, the city or town they call Polotsk. And they had a Jesuit church there, and they had, of course, a strong Jesuit connection with our university. And at the end of the 18th century, one of the most famous Königsberg or East Russian basically organ master Adam Gottlob Kasparini came from Königsberg and built a prototype for this organ, a smaller instrument, one keyboard and 22 stops, not 64 but 22 with pedals. And in the middle, about in the 1830s, when the Tsar regime closed down the Jesuit church in the Belarus, in Polotsk, our university purchased and transferred this instrument to this church, which was later enlarged by local organ builders and made into the 3-manual instrument. And even at the end of the 19th century, it was made even bigger and bigger, which became the largest instrument in the country. But then later Soviet regime came, and this instrument was dismantled, and the pipes were taken out of the organ. Drunk men could climb into the instrument itself and damage the precious metal pipes, right? But even in the Soviet times, at the end of the 1970s or in the beginning of the 1980s, they began to understand that the regime did understand that this instrument has tremendous value as historical monument. So they started to restore the facade, not the instrument itself, but just the facade, the gilding, the carvings, and the facade metal pipes, which incidentally have almost 90% of tin alloy. So basically, I will talk about the pipes and alloys and wooden pipes and constructions all day long, but you have to stop me. By the way, how much time do we have?
Enough time.
Okay, so we'll make it short. And I will not talk too much because I want to demonstrate some of the most colorful and beautiful stuff of this instrument. So basically, Soviets started to restore the facade. Not the Soviet, but our local monument preservers, basically, restorers. And in 1983, they began to reconstruct the inside of the instrument with the idea, with the vision that someday this instrument will be playable again. And it happened actually in reality in July of 2000. So in July 17th of 2000, there came 150 organ builders from all over the world to participate in a symposium of International Society of Organ Builders, which took place in all 3 Baltic states, in Vilnius, Riga, and Tallinn. And in an entire weekend, or even entire week, I don't remember exactly, but they came and visited all the important historical instruments in all the Baltic area. So this instrument was inaugurated as part of this symposium, and I was just completed my master's study at the Lithuanian Academy of Music at that time and played a part in that inaugural concert. So a few words about the mechanical part of this instrument is very fascinating because, as you see, the facade is quite Baroque-like, right? And to be more precise, is German origin, because Adam Gottlieb Kasparini came from East Prussia and built the instrument according to the Thuringian style, because he visited organs in Thuringia and apprenticed with the greatest organ builder of that time in Thuringia, called Johann Christoph Trost. And Trost was very famous for his organs, which inspired instruments playable by Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. So basically, even this instrument has some ideas that could be basically applied to the organ music of Bach as well, or any of the Bach school, any of the Baroque German area. Basically, this is quite a Baroque instrument. But when organ builders restored this in the 1980s, they thought maybe we could also reconstruct the instrument in a way that it was also playable in the 19th century, and that was completely different from the 18th century. This was a romantic period. Romantic period meant more foundational stuff, more orchestral-like sounds, and you will hear that also style in today's not only Baroque stop improvisations, but also sort of modal and symphonic style, romantic and even 20th century techniques applied to depict the colors of this instrument and also the 5 most important families of this instrument, stop families of this instrument. So let's talk about the stop families, the pipes and its construction. First of all, organ pipes have 5 families. These metal pipes, we call them principals. Principal, it comes from Latin principalis, which means chef. The main register, the main stop of this organ, and they usually are built from metal, and in the facade you see about 90% of it, but in the inside of the instrument you can find more of the lead and tin alloy mixed together. Lead and tin are 2 of the most important alloys for building and casting pipe organ metals. Lead, blight. So lead actually is quite dangerous for your health, right? Yes. If you chew or touch. So organ builders handle the pipes, pipe work very carefully with special gloves and don't put them into the mouth too much. But because they have to really blow and check the pipes, it's not too dangerous. And European Union or EU Council basically tried to forbid all lead materials, right? A few years ago or 10 years ago. And one of the victims of that were organs, of course, because lead is everywhere in organs. But our main European organ builders, also from Germany, especially from Germany, they came to Brussels and said, and lobbied basically, a European Council said, no, it's not too dangerous if the pipes are standing still and if the people are, from some distance, nothing is really evaporating and you cannot really smell it. So it's not too dangerous, and it's thanks to this process, it's still allowed to build the pipe organs and pipes from lead as well. So it's not a strange situation, but we managed to handle this correctly. So, principles. You were probably wondering how the principal sound is constructed, right? So principles, these are all the principles from different manuals. And just above me are the principles from the main manual, from the main keyboard. We call them Hauptwerk. In German, basically, it's the main work. Hauptwerk, I don't know why they call it, because the pipe works are usually called Werk, Oberwerk, Rückwerk, for example, if they could have the special cabinet which would hang in the under the balcony, that would be called Rückwerk. In sometimes positive, Rück positive. So Ober positive, Oberwerk, it's sort of interchangeable terms. All right, so let's hear this facade principle 8-foot. Let's compare that sound to another principle of the same dimension, of 8-foot level, on the Oberwerk of the third manual. Actually, it's quite loud and powerful, although the Hauptwerk is more pronounced out in the church. But now the Oberwerk is very clear and loud. All right. So I mentioned the idea that principles and organ pipes can be measured in feet. Right. We don't usually measure things in feet and yards and what else? Inches, right? In Europe, except in England, but in Baroque time, they had the system, not the metrical system, but the other system. And 8-foot principle means that the largest pipe, the base C, this pipe, is 8 feet long. Which means in today's terms about 240 centimeters, about 2 meters 40 centimeters. And if you check for the length of these facade pipes, here is the middle C, the lowest base C, here C, and here is the C sharp on the other side. They are approximately of that length, 240 centimeters. And which means that all of the 8-foot stops here can be 240 centimeters long, and which means that if we cut the pipe in half, make 4 foot long, right, pipe, then the sound would be 1 octave higher, like the string, right? We would make the string shorter than exactly 1 octave higher stop. I will demonstrate how it sounds. For example, principle 8 contrasted with octave 4 of the same stop. This is principle 8, and then octave 4. Are in the middle of the keyboard, but the sound is quite high, right? Because the pipes are now actually twice as small. But that's not all, because you can play with 2 foot stop. Because we have principle 1. Look, this is the tallest pipe of 1 foot principle, which is called sedecima, Italian word sedecima, sedecima of one foot. What happened? Even the sound is too high for us to hear. Almost ultrasonic sound. Almost. Not quite, but infrasonic and ultrasonic sounds are present in such instruments, large instruments, because we have many bass sounding stops here played with the pedal, with the feet. That's why I have special organist shoes, and that's why my shoes are worn out, and you see that I should really take care of my shoes better. But this is to remind you how much I practice, right? How much I practice the pedal work when I will play the pedals. All right, while I'm at it, let's play some of the deepest sound of this instrument, which is, of course, Principle 16. This means pipe work which is about 5 meters long. These pedal towers on the right side and on the left side, they are about 5 meters long. Here is the tallest pipe, the shortest pipe of the Principle 16. I'm playing the scale. Octave to go downward. G, F, a little bit, D, and C, the lowest. Here is the lowest sound of Principle 16. Guess what? This is not the end. Because we have Subas 32. Here is 32, there's the shortest pipe. Two octaves below it. A, G, F, E. Can you hear? Yeah. Still? D. C, B, A, sort of roaring sound, almost very tricky to tune by the way, because you hear only the vibrations, but not the exact pitch. G, F, E, two more to go, E, can you hear guys? And C, the lowest. Here, for example, D and E. What happens if I play D and D? Two pedals together. D together with another D. What about if I play D together with A? You hear the vibration? Yeah. Now I'm getting close to the edge when the windows of the church might break. D and G now, we are getting very close, and vibrations become more powerful. And if you have troubles with hearing, you will feel it. Trouble with cars as well. Or maybe I can fix your heart if you have trouble. Because this vibration. Three pipes together of 32-foot length. 4 thunder. Exactly. Please touch this and vibration. Talking about vibrations, we have this interesting stuff called timpani. You know what timpani is? The kettle drum, the symphonic orchestra. They have this drum, Hawking drum. This comes automatically when I engage this handle. At the end, on the side of the instrument, there are two wooden pipes sounding together almost at the same length. One is a little shorter than the other, which produces this vibration. It's not exactly in tune, you see, but it was used in 18th century and 19th century when the organ was not allowed during Lent time or Advent in processions. For example, they had to imitate the drums. They would engage this sort of similar acoustical drum. Alright? So you heard some of the shortest pipes, some of the tallest pipes. And of course, this instrument is huge in Lithuanian terms, but of course you have in Germany the cathedral in Passau. Do you know what fascinating? This cathedral in Passau Dome has the largest church organ in the world. Anywhere in the world is the largest in Passau. Church building. But it's still not the largest in the world, because the largest in the world are in two places now, which has not 3 manuals like here, not 5 manuals like in Passau, but for example 7 keyboards, 7 manuals. We call them manuals because of course manus in Latin is hand, and pedals because pedus in Latin is of course foot. And so there are 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine. Look at me. 5. How tense I am. 6 and 7 is somewhere here. And of course you can play this way and this way and this way, this way, this way, this way. Yeah, and jump around. Yes, I will jump a little bit for you on 3 manuals, but it's not quite the fun when you have 7. I can really only imagine, because I never played these largest organs in the world. By the way, they stand in America and in Australia. In America, it was for a long time the only playable 7-manual organ in the world. In Atlantic City, in New Jersey, Atlantic City, they have this 7-manual grand monster instrument with about more than 1,000 stops, not 64 stops like here, not like 131 stops like in Latvia, in Liepaja Cathedral, the largest mechanical organ in the world, when I played last month. And even not the 200 or 300 instruments that are like 5 manuals range, but this is a huge monster instrument with more than 1,000 stops, not pipes, but stops. With these handles, the stop combinations basically, in Atlantic City in America, and also in Sydney, in Town Hall in Australia. And now the Sydney organ is restored and can be playable. And they say that these monster organs have not like 5-meter long pipes, but 20-meter long pipes, like a 5-story building. You can imagine the sound. We heard 32-foot stop. They have 64-foot stop played by foot, and you can really only determine not exact pitch but only vibrations. And when you play those vibrations, it really is the effect of a helicopter hovering above the building. It's really that roar, tremendous roar. And it's quite dangerous for the building. Here I was joking about these windows and breaking ceiling and columns. But in Sydney and in America, of course, the building itself had to be reinforced to accommodate those lowest vibrations. To be specific, it's about 8 Hertz vibrations. They're not very old, the beginning of the 20th century, because the oldest instruments never were so huge. It's only in modern era, in industrial times, where you know, we had to build those monsters. And actually the Middle Age organs, right? The organs in ancient Greece and Rome, they were very, very small and delicate. In fact, kings and emperors had them in home. And in ancient Greece, instruments were not in temples or religious houses, but in circus arenas, where gladiators fought, right? They played organs there, but not with exact church organs, but they called them water organs, because instead of bellows, which are required to have this air pressure, they had water reservoirs on each side of the instrument with a few rows of metal pipes. This is called in English hydraulics. And in 79 AD, you remember when Pompeii was the town of Pompeii in ancient Rome was really covered by ash, volcanic ash from the Vesuvius, right? Everything was really covered to the ground, and some of the instruments as well. So scientists rediscovered in the 20th century and dug up this instrument, ancient hydraulics, and reconstructed. And it could be heard on YouTube as well. It's a very gentle instrument, and it can be sung together with some poems by Homer and things like that. All right, enough talk. Now let's hear some of the more principal stuff. For example, principle 8 and 4 combined. Sounds, preludiums, fugues, variations, chaconas, all kinds of Baroque type compositions that are not constructed with chorales, not like choral variations, not choral fantasias, because they require more elegant and more colorful stops we call reeds and flutes as well. We will hear, for example, the next family of our stop is called the flute. And they really imitate orchestral flutes because in the diameter they are wider than the principal. And actually they sound more delicate and gentle. And sometimes really you cannot really even differentiate them from orchestral flutes or block flute or other various kinds of flutes. Each of the manuals have several flutes combined, so we can really demonstrate them here. For example, the first manual has flauto major, which in Italian, of course, is the major flute, because there is flauto minor also, the smaller. The larger is of 8-foot level, and the smaller is of 4-foot level. So we'll hear this gentle sound. Small chimney. So here is the sound of chimney flute or roar flute. Here on the Haupwerk. Gentle, flute-like. even in Baroque times or even in Renaissance period, when you see, for example, angels playing the organ, the small portative organ which they carry and play with one hand. They play with 2 fingers, 2, 3, 2, 3, or 3, 4, 3, 4, with right hand, and another hand pumps the bellows. It's called portative. And they had many instruments back in 14th century, 12th century, and they could be played not in churches, but in for example, palaces and duke houses, castles, in civic, basically, occasions. Right, so we know now principals and flutes. The third family is called the strings. Strings imitate violin, gamba, viola, violoncello in the bass, everything that is string related. And we have some nice string sounds right here. A violon, for example, very gentle. Usually we play very slow with strings. was an introduction to the phenomenon of So now, time for questions. I'm sure you have hundreds. Who's first? Who's the greatest?
Hat alle Register gezogen.
Alle Register powerful sound. So really, the organ can play very soft and gentle. It can be quite powerful and festive on many occasions. Very sad, I can play like for funeral and very solemn occasions. I can play for graduation ceremonies, playing national anthems and Gaudeamus Igitur, the student academic anthem. It all comes down to this tremendous power that this organ has, and then the tremendous colorful abilities. Imagine 64-foot stops. You can really calculate how many stop combinations simply by basically calculating 64 times 64. That's how many abilities, colorful abilities there are in this organ. Not so all of them are used every day, but the more I play here, the more I work here, maintaining this instrument and tuning this instrument, the more I discover the intricate abilities, and especially at night, for example, when lights are out and everywhere is dark, you can hear about 6 or 7 seconds of reverberation here when playing all the stops and all the pipes. It's quite powerful, and I would say even a religious experience for some people, because you can play very gently as well, like meditation, or very powerfully, like also another kind of meditation, right? And the most fascinating thing to me that only one person can do this, right? Not necessarily 100 piece orchestra, professional orchestra, but it can really imitate orchestral sound quite well, and even accompany silent movies like they did in the beginning of 20th century. When they didn't have orchestras, they had organists playing soundtracks, improvisations. So we do these things in our church as well, and try to make this organ art come alive in Lithuania. So thank you so much.
I have one question.
Yes.
Did I see it right? You play on the first manual, and on the third manual there are also...
What happens when I play exactly? This is because I engage couplers. Ja of Deutsch is koppel. They couple the manuals together. These little pedals. Here. This. When I play. Which means I can play with these sounds as well. there are variations in numbers. Any other questions? Yes, please. Yes, yes, of course, because this is all mechanical. You see, if I, oh, you are probably curious what happens inside. Let's check. I haven't done this before for listeners, but you are the precious audience to me today, and I'm going to demonstrate how it all works. Let's go. It will hold. So, here is. I will demonstrate how the sound is produced now, of course, because you see now mechanical part. You see, at the end of the key, there is a abstract in German, or basically the tracker in English, and they connect the end of the keys to the ventils underneath the pipes. Ventils. So what happens when you press the key? Here, if I want this C to sound, for example, with this nice roar cloud on the third manual, I have to do two things. I have to draw out this stop handle, which aligns the small, basically aligns the slider above, under the pipe with the end of the pipes, and the air can breathe to the pipes. When I engage this roar cloud, for example, stop handle, and then I can choose whatever key I want. C, used as a signature, musical signature. And for example, you know this beautiful cycle of 20 fugues called the art of fugue, which he wrote at the end of his life. And in the last fugue, he used this BACH theme as one of the connecting fugues in this fugue. So basically, it's very intricate construction. This only for the third manual, for the Haupwerk. The pedal board is a little more complex. It's sort of the same, but only underneath us. And it also has trackers which connect end of the pedals with the ventils which are underneath the pipeworks in the winches. So you see under each stop, under each manual, sort of wooden boxes of air, we call it winches. And the air is produced by blowers, by motors today. But in earlier days, of course, they call it calcantum. I don't know where it comes from, this word, but we have this stop which is called calcant. What happens when I press it? No air here. So it's a symbol for the strong man sitting next to the bellows and waiting for my signal. And in earlier days there was a bell for him. With this calcantum stop, I could engage this bell, ring this bell, and he would start clicking the bellows now, pumping. It's just a matter of linguistics now, and simple motor is enough here. But sometimes they reconstruct replicas of 18th century and 17th century instruments that can be pumped by hand or by feet. That's very fascinating because with motor blowers it's all equal wind supply. It's no differentiation, no like breathing, right? But with pumping by hand and feet, The organ really breathes like a human being. And one of the fascinating things is how the organ came into the church. It was first used as a circus instrument, as a pagan instrument, basically. But about 1,000 years ago, it came to the church, into monasteries and cathedrals in Europe as a symbol of universal harmony. You know, this ancient classical system of belief that each of the planets make sounds, unheard to humans, but they, while they move through their orbits, they make sounds of some kinds. Sphere music, yeah. They had three types of music at that time. Musica humana, which is human voice, right? Musica instrumentalis, which is instrument music, violins, wind instruments, and organs as well. And the third type was musica mundana, this spherical music. And the organ, yeah, that's a very interesting symbol of that, because each of the types is like a different person, and they together create this heavenly harmony, basically, and recreate the sounds that are heard perhaps in heaven, sung by heavenly choirs and archangels. So they believed, and one of the reasons they started to use this instrument in churches is this symbol of universal harmony. Excellent question. What's the question? any other questions?
Connected to that question, can we see the point of the organ where the air comes into the instrument? Is it possible?
Bellows. Yes, you want to see the bellows.
Is it possible?
It's not possible, but I will show it. Let's go to